Okay. All right. So I believe, thank you very much for welcoming me to this webinar. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for coming to participate in this webinar. I believe from Aishwarya that I will do the presentation and then I will stop and you can ask me questions and I will do my best to answer your questions. Okay. Can you hear me and understand my English?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this talk is about my book, which I had written, yeah. I'll Never Walk Alone. And this is about walking with my inner coach. So I will share with you some events that happened in my walk and how I walked with my inner coach who helped me to make my walk successful. Okay. So who am I? I believe Aishwarya has already shared with you. Okay, so some key questions that I would like to answer in today's talk. This walk that I did is called the Camino de Santiago. So what is this Camino de Santiago all about? What's the origin? Number two, why did one lady from Malaysia go all the way to Galicia, Spain, with a small backpack and walk through the forest and over the hills for 100 kilometers and also on my own? So that's a picture of me, yeah, walking, and that's the picture of the forest that I took as I walked into the forest of Galicia, Spain. So number three was the plan for my walk. What did I do? How did I plan, etc.? Number four, what were my toughest challenges? And then how did I overcome those toughest challenges? And what did I gain from all the hardships and challenges and obstacles that I faced? Okay. And lastly, number six, my key lessons. Does this sound like a good plan for me to start? All right, great. So what is the Camino de Santiago? So Camino is a Spanish word that means the way or the path. Okay. De Santiago is of Saint James. So Saint James Way or Saint James Path. So it is a special path in northwest Spain, in a province or the region called Galicia. And who is Saint James? Out of the 12 apostles of Jesus, there were two that were brothers, John and James. So James is that brother, and he was sent from Jerusalem to go into Spain to do the evangelization work, missionary work. And when he came back to Jerusalem, the Roman king, killed him. So his disciples carried his bones and walked back to this place in Galicia, Spain, and they named that place Santiago. That means St. James. The Compostela is the capital of Galicia. Okay, so along the path, people have walked. 1,000 years ago, this path was created. And along the path, you will see this yellow arrow to indicate that's the way. You follow the yellow arrow and you will reach the capital of Galicia, Santiago de Compostela. So the yellow arrow can be found on the roads, on the fences, on the milestones, which are concrete with the blue Galicia shell symbol, and then even on the trees. So that's how people follow the path and walk. So that is the path or Camino de Santiago, what it is. Number two, why? Why did I go to Galicia and walk on this path? So this journey, this path is now walked not as a religious walk, but rather 200,000 people walk along this path every year. And they come from all different parts of the world, and they walk it not just for spiritual or religious reasons. They walk it as a recreation, something to, as a hiking route, for cycling. So every year, about 200,000 people walk. And last year, 2023, 350,000 people walked on that path. So first time it has broken that 200,000 ceiling. Okay. But why did I go? Well, number one, I'm not a hiker. I'm not a hiker to hike into the forests and hills. That is something which I do not do. But what happened was on 24th May, 2022, I just set up my coaching school, Francis Coaching School, and I was preparing for my students to graduate. Okay, so this is the first pioneer batch, and they are going to graduate. And I had done a lot of preparation work to get to that point. So actually, I was mentally exhausted because of all the preparation work, plus all the forms to fill up and submit to ICF. I was physically not at my peak because I'd taken the third booster shot for the COVID, and I had suffered, my body suffered from pain. So I was not in a physically good condition to do any walking. Emotionally, I felt very, very scared because I have a fear of being alone. I have a fear of getting lost in a jungle or anywhere else. I have a fear of not knowing what is the way should I walk? Where is the way? If I get lost, then I have that fear. So every day from the 24th of May, every morning when I woke up, I received the same message: go on the Camino, go on that 100 kilometers walk. And I kept pushing this thought that was dropping into my energy space. I just kept rejecting it because I know mentally, emotionally, physically, I am not ready. Plus, I'm not a hiker. So despite all my resistance to this invitation or this provocation, finally I gave in because it was just too exhausting to say no, no, no. Even if I hid under the bed, when I would come out of the bed, I still get the same thought. So I knew it is from the divine that I'm getting this message. So to get myself ready for this, I wrote a whole chapter on chapter 3 from the book and how I prepared myself for the walk. That is a 1 month, the whole month of June, I just focus on building my physical strength. Okay. So even though I didn't want to go, that was the reason that I was encouraged or invited or cajoled or pushed, whatever. But I had a lot of doubts. So these doubts were also interfering with my planning. How do I go? I really can't do. So the emotional pain was very, very strong. So what I did was, if I really, really have to do it, and if I really need to go, then I want to create a plan. Okay. So, and I want my plan to be perfect. So I wanted to create a perfect plan for myself. So one of the things that I did was I connected with this guy, Mr. Thomas Young. I know from some of my church friends that Thomas is the guy who has taken different groups. He's a travel agent, so he has taken different groups to do the Camino. So when I contacted him in May or June 2022, I said, Spain has opened its borders. Malaysia has opened its borders. Can you organize a group so that I can go with that group? And he said, no, Francis, I'm not organizing any group in 2022, only in 2023. You can come with me in 2023. I said, I can't wait. I have to go now because the voice is telling me, the message I'm receiving is do it, do it, do it. So I I told him I have to go. Then he said, okay, let me create this for you. Let's plan it out so that you can walk on your own. I said, I can't walk on my own. You have to bring a group with me. He said, no, Francis, I will help you to organize everything. All you need to do is walk from point A to point B, then sleep that night, then point B to point C, then sleep that night, then point C to point D, like that. So what he came up was his plan. His plan was 6 days I will walk, and I will walk from this point to this point. So he created a point for me to start. That was Lugo in Northwest Spain. And I followed that route all the way, walk over 6 days, and reach the capital of Galicia called Santiago de Compostela. That's the end of the Camino walk. So everybody from all parts of the world reached there. That's the ending point. And at that point, if you had walked 100 kilometers, you will be given a certificate. If you walk 90 kilometers, you won't get. So you have to complete 100 kilometers. So that is the registered distance. Then he said the weather on that days that you will be walking will be cool. It's only 24 degrees Celsius. So it'll be just nice for you. Then he said, don't worry, along the route, there'll be lots of toilets, lots of signages on the road, on the trees, on the fence, by the roadside, the concrete milestones, everything will be there. So you don't be afraid. Then he said, there'll be a lot of cafes and food. So you don't have to carry food in your backpack. There'll be a lot of cafes. Whenever you're hungry, you just stop and eat, buy some food. Then he said, the best part was there'll be lots of people walking. So do not be afraid that you will be alone. So he gave me a lot of confidence and reassurance that I can do it on my own. So slowly I indoctrinated myself to believe that this will come true. Yeah. So he showed me pictures of the cafes that I'll be sitting and having my meals. He showed me pictures of people walking on the Camino. So I felt comforted and I said, okay, I think I can do it. So when I went, I set it in my mind, I am a winner. That's my identity. That's my core belief. I am a winner. That's the value I hold close to my heart. Plus, there is a certificate. I want that certificate. Whatever it is, I want that certificate. So that was my plan. Okay. However, when I reached there and I started the walk, the universe had a different plan. So what changed? The universe decided to upset all my plans except the 6 days. The 6 days will still remain intact because my flight ticket was from that day to that day. So I had to fly out. So it wasn't longer than the 6 days. But what else happened? The 100 kilometers that I was supposed to walk, I made mistakes along the way. And because I made mistakes, I walked extra 25 kilometers. Okay. What else? The cool weather of 24 degrees, when I reached there on the first day that I started my walk, the temperature went from 24 to 34. And then it just kept rising every day. 34 right up to 38. On the last day that I was reaching the capital city, it reached 38. And it was scorching. It just burnt my skin, burnt my head. It was really, really tough walking in that heat. Then he told me there'll be lots of toilets along the way, but there were no toilets on day one. There were no toilets on day two. So I really suffered without the toilets. Number 3, he said there'll be lots of signages, but there were so few signages on day 1 and day 2. And I got lost so many times. I walked, I couldn't find, I was scratching my head and there's nobody around. And he said there'll be lots of people around. There'll be lots of cafe and food. There'll be lots of people, but I walked and walked for the whole of day 1 for 6 hours and there was nobody. I was all alone. I got no one to ask when I was stuck because I didn't know whether to turn left or to turn right. It was really quite a horrible distance that I walked in day 1 and day 2. What an experience. Okay, so this was my journey, at least what the universe planned and delivered to me for the day 1 and day 2. So I remembered reading, when I came back, I remembered reading about the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell. And he also explains that the hero always is called to go on an adventure. And I felt that I was called to go for an adventure. And I have a known world, which is Malaysia. I know where to walk. I know what to do in the known world. However, I had to cross the threshold and move into the unknown world. And the unknown world for me was Galicia, Spain. I had no clue what the forest will look like, what the trees, what the hills. I had no clue. So I had to go across the threshold and go into the unknown world. And when I went into the unknown world, I faced a lot of different tasks that I had to do, a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, a lot of trials, and a lot of failures. So I failed, I fell, I failed, but that was the journey that I went through. So I adapted Joseph Campbell's hero's journey and simplified it from what I went through, what was my experience. Okay, so that was my plan, how I planned the perfect plan, and yet the universe just squashed all my plan, threw it into the dustbin and created a new plan for me. Okay, so I went through many challenges, but today I will just share the toughest challenges. The rest of the challenges are inside my book, and it's chapter 5, the thickest chapter, because so many challenges. Okay, so my toughest challenge happened on day 1. I had already got dressed, got my backpack, all my gear, everything ready, and I was leaving the hotel. Just as I left the hotel, I asked the receptionist, please take a photo of me leaving the hotel. And then as I stepped out of the hotel, I had my Google Maps with me. So I used the Google Maps to help me to find the starting point on which I can join the Camino walk. So as I Googled and I found the Google Map guided me to walk along the walls of Lugo. This city, Lugo, is a UNESCO World Heritage city because it's got the Roman walls, the longest Roman walls that are still intact. So I was walking along the Roman walls, searching for the starting point of joining the Camino. And I was walking round and round and round the walls, and I cannot find. It was super frustrating for me that I can't find the starting point. So I was so frustrated, and then all my emotional fear came up. Okay, so my emotional fear of I was getting lost, etc. But what happened was I saw from where I stopped, and I was like at the point of giving up, suddenly I saw the steeple of the Cathedral of Lugo. So I said, okay, I can see that point. Maybe the starting point could be close to that. So I observed where the steeple was, and I walked to reach there. And when I reached there, all my fears came up. My fear of being alone, my fear of getting lost, my fear of not knowing. Because I was alone. I saw myself, there's nobody else with me. And I felt I was just going round and getting lost. And I had a fear of not knowing where the starting point is. So all the fear, the shame came. Oh my goodness, I'm a coach and I can't even find the starting point. If I can't find the starting point, how on earth am I going to find all the other points to reach 100 kilometers if I'm still struggling with the starting point? So all this overwhelmed me, and I just wanted to give up at that point. Okay. So I told myself, I just cannot do this walk on my own. I cannot walk alone. I just cannot. So the only way I could walk is if I got help from someone. So as I was saying that I need help, suddenly I could feel my inner coach, my inner mentor is just comforting me. I could feel that sense overtaking my fears. Okay. And immediately as I felt this, I heard a beggar with a bowl. So there was this lady just clicking the bowl, clicking, the clicking sound. So I was just standing there wanting to give up, and yet I felt like my inner coach was guiding me, comforting me. Hold on, wait, don't give up. Then the sound from my left ear, I could hear that. Then I turned. As I turned, I saw this beggar woman with the bowl. So I walked to her. And I said one word because I don't speak Spanish. I said, Camino. And then she signaled to me to follow her. Just follow her, follow her. So I followed her, and then she showed me across the street the sign of the Galicia shell and the yellow arrow. Wow, when I saw that, I was so happy, overjoyed, that I gave her some coins and I ran across the road, the dual carriageway, ran across, got someone to take a photo of me standing there. That's the first starting point. I felt so relieved, and I knew it was my inner coach that gave me that, just that little bit of strength not to give up. So when I stood there and took the photo, I quickly texted Thomas. Thomas, is this the starting point of the Camino that I'm going to walk? Then Thomas responded, this is one of the many starting points. Oh, when he said that, I was like, I wanted to kill him because I was struggling so long, and that's what he responded. Okay. Yes.
Did I lock the door? You told me to lock, right? I locked, right? Thank you.
Can I continue?
Here only, baby. Come, ma. See, she's there. She's there. Cookie Bahar.
Aishwarya. Can I continue?
Sorry, Dr. Francis, just a second. Let me just check which participant it was.
Good.
Anything big? Wait.
Sorry, doctor. Maybe by mistake it was unmuted.
Okay. Continue?
Yes, doctor, please continue.
Okay. So that was my toughest challenge, number 1. Now I share with you my toughest challenge, number 2. So as I walked in day 1, according to Thomas, my itinerary says I must walk 18 kilometers to reach my point where I'm supposed to rest for the day. So because I got lost, I walked from Lugo all the way to this point, and I found out that by the end of the day, I walked 32 kilometers instead of 18. This is the first time I'm going on a walk, first time I'm doing, and I did 32 kilometers. When I stopped there and found that lodge, it's called Casa da Ponte, and I reached there, reached my room, I was just flat on the bed because from head to toe, every cell in my body was screaming in pain. Why are you doing this to us? Why are you torturing us? This is really, really, really bad. So I knew every cell in my body just couldn't walk anymore. It was so painful. So I had a quick shower, I had a quick dinner, and I came back and I had a Panadol. So I took the Panadol and I told the universe, I said, I know my body, I know I'm in pain, I know I'm going to sleep now, and I know 100% sure that when I wake up, I will not be able to walk tomorrow because my body will take a couple of days for the pain to subside. Then only I can continue. But I'm not continuing because tomorrow I cannot walk. And I said, at least I tried. At least I tried one day. Okay, I know I cannot continue. So when I woke up the next morning, I sat at the edge of the bed. My feet were already touching the floor, the ground, and I started to sense my body, which part of my body was in pain. Then slowly I stood up and I walked to the toilet. Where's the pain? I couldn't locate a single drop of pain, not a single ounce of pain. So I said, I couldn't have healed my body on my own. This is just no way I could have done that. But the healing did take place. Somebody did this. And I attribute it to my inner coach or inner mentor, because there is a being within us that knows what is our desire or what we need to do, and it will guide us and give us that sympathy or comfort or encouragement. So if we can latch onto the inner coach, I felt I could really do it. So I knew the healing was not on my own. So it was another support system, or I call it my inner coach. Okay. The third toughest challenge, 3 challenges I'm sharing, was this temptation. So on day 1, I was walking alone for 6 hours. About the end of the 6 hours, what happened? This Spanish couple, I could hear some shoes, scuffling of the shoes. So as I turned, I saw this couple, and they couldn't speak English, so they just hello, hello only. Then after a while, as I walked, they said, can we follow you? I said, yes, but I'm not too sure of the way. I'm also really groping in the darkness. So then they said, never mind, we'll follow you. Then they took out, then it so happened that they stayed in Casa da Ponte, exactly the same lodge that I stayed. So in the morning after breakfast, he told me, Francis, take out your itinerary and let's see where you are walking and where we are walking in that broken Spanish. So I took out my itinerary, I shared with them, I'm only walking 18 kilometers. They took out their itinerary and showed me they are walking 25 kilometers. So it's a different route we are going to walk, 125, 118. So I said, oh, I'm doing a different route. So you'll do a different route. So then the wife, Anna said, Francis, you follow us, because anyway, we are going to Santiago. You follow us, you will be our eyes. You have sharp eyes. You can help us to see the sign, and then we can walk. Then you don't walk alone, we don't walk alone. So we got company. So at that point, when I heard that, my whole being changed, and this was like a temptation to me. Instead of following my route, I was going to follow their route. And their route and my route so different, and yet what words were the one that tempted me were, you don't have to walk alone. You can come with us. You won't get lost. You don't need to worry about you don't know the way. We will be there with you. Whoa. So I just fell into that temptation and I followed them, abandoned my itinerary and followed them. So as I followed them and I reached, finally by 5 p.m., we reached the destination. I was so thrilled, okay, because I made it. So what did I do? I quickly called Thomas on my WhatsApp. I called him, Thomas, you wouldn't believe it. On day 1, I thought I nearly died from the walking. But on day 2, I'm alive. I've been given this extra strength by the universal power. So now I could walk. And guess what? I walked extra kilometers. I walked into my day 3 itinerary. So what was I looking and wanting from Thomas? 2 things. I wanted him to give me a prize, and I wanted to give him to give me a praise. Wow, well done, Francis. You did it. Wow, I thought you were going to die, and yet you had so much of power and strength on day 2. So I was expecting that from him. But what did he give me in exchange over the phone? Was a penalty and a punishment. Okay, so what he told me was, Francis, you can't do this. You just can't just not follow your itinerary. The hotel is in another corner of that Galicia. Your bags are already in the hotel. You cannot be here. This is day 3. You are supposed to be in day 2. So now what you have to do is walk from here all the way back to your hotel. What a punishment. What a penalty. So I said, Thomas, I cannot do that. I am completely exhausted. I have zero energy. I've been walking from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I am not going to walk back because I cannot do it. Then he said, your bags are there. Your hotel is there. I said, forget about the hotel. Just put my bags on a taxi and bring it here. And find me a hotel here and I will stay here. So I started giving him instructions what he should do. He was so pissed off. Anyway, he said, I will try. I cannot promise you anything because everything is already been planned. So I was sitting by the roadside and waiting for him, waiting for him, waiting for him. After half an hour, he calls me. He said, Francis, today is the 8th of July. 8th of July is summer month. All the 4 hotels that I've called in this place are fully booked. Your room is available tomorrow, not today. I said, but Thomas, I can't. He said, you have to go back. I said, I can't. Then he said, okay, I can do one thing. I can call a taxi from here. The taxi takes you all the way back to the hotel. And then tomorrow you walk from that hotel all the way back here. What a cruel, cruel thing happened to me. So I knew, and I got the message from my inner coach and my mentor. He said, every day there is a lesson for me to learn. I cannot just jump over the lesson and pretend I do not want what the lesson is for me. Find a shortcut, find another way, be tempted. So all these were the lessons I had to learn, super painful lessons for me. Okay, so those were my biggest, toughest challenges along the journey. All the other challenges, it's in my chapter 5 in the book. Okay, so what did I gain? Finally, on the 12th of July, I have reached the cathedral. I'm standing in front of the cathedral. This is the capital city, Santiago de Compostela. And I'm standing there and I'm asking my creator, what on earth did you give me all these obstacles and challenges and hardships? Not one day didn't have any, but every day was filled with obstacles, challenges, and hardships. Why? So that was what I asked. And this was the response. Francis, you had a fear of being alone, but look at you. You've completed all the way and reached here. So what happened to that fear? No longer a fear to me. I don't have that mental fear that I'm alone. You had a fear of being lost, of getting lost. And still, you made it right up to here. What happened to that fear? That emotional fear of being lost? I don't have that emotional fear anymore. You had a fear of shame, not knowing, not able to find the right place, the right route. What happened to that emotional fear of shame? I don't have that emotional fear of shame anymore. And what happened to your body? You thought your body was not strong enough to undertake this. What happened to that fear of your physical? And I didn't have that fear because my body just cooperated with me and just moved and moved and moved me. So all these fears, mental, emotional, physical, I had conquered all those fears. And the only way I could have conquered was walking with my inner coach, not by myself. I couldn't have done it on my own, not alone. I had to have the support of my mentor or my inner coach. So that was the big learning for me. Okay, so then the question came. You have already walked 125 kilometers. You have reached here. Now I'm asking you this question. If I ask you to do another 125 kilometers, what would your response be? And I said, sure, why not? Yes, I can do it because I don't have all these fears that I came with. Mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I conquered all the barriers all the mental limitations, all my fears I have conquered. So since I've conquered, what is another 125? I will not stop. I can continue and continue and continue. So that's when I heard this voice telling me, so now you are unstoppable because nothing can stop you. There's no fear to stop you. So you are unstoppable, Francis. So what I gained the most is, number one, no more fear. Number two, I got new skills. New skills. I can walk alone. That's not an issue. Number three, I got physical strength. My body is so much stronger before I started and after the walk, comparing. Okay. So my key lessons were, number one, anytime there is a new, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You don't want to step because you got a lot of fears. For me, I have no more fears. I have to say yes, and I call it an adventure. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something new, something different, something I've never done. I say yes to the adventure. And then always set my goal. What am I going for? What is it? I stay focused on my goal and not get distracted by other people and other people's goal. Because every day there is a lesson for me. And always stay close to your inner coach or your mentor. Always ask for help. Anytime I'm stuck, I need to ask for help. And my inner coach has not failed me over the 6 days, all the time bringing me the solution. So what happened after that? So I'm also interested to hear about what you think are some key lessons you're taking from hearing my story. So then I became unstoppable. So when I came back, I completed setting up my school, completed submitting to ICF, all the documentation. Then I set up this program, which I created long ago, but I relaunched it. So doing something new. Then I set up an art exhibition I've never done before. So it's a project that I undertook 2 months after I came back. Then I became a speaker at a master class on supervision. I've never been a speaker on a master class. So this is again something new. No more fear. Then I was invited to go to New York to be a keynote speaker at a women's empowerment conference. So again, another something new, New York. And then to be on a podcast. Then I wrote a book about my walk. I've never ever written a book, but this is the first time in my life. And again, it is something out of my comfort zone. But I cannot do all of this without the support of my inner coach or my inner mentor, guiding me, supporting me. Okay. So 12th July, I was standing in front of the cathedral, outside the cathedral, and look at the date. 11 July 2023, I'm invited as a keynote speaker to go all the way to New York. No other city in the world, but New York, to stand there and share my story of how I'm unstoppable. And as I shared my story, I also showed them my book and I launched my book there. So for me, I feel that I'm a small person, a small girl from Malacca who had no voice as she was growing up because of the cultural or gender bias or whatever environment I was in. But for me to cross so many obstacles and challenges and come to New York to present, as well as to launch my book, I think that is the biggest, for me, it's one of the biggest things I could ever have done. And this is exactly 12 months later. Amazing. Then I met this teacher, Padma Menon, who told me about 3 Tamil schools in Port Dickson, a small town, who are very, very poor. So the children do not have money to buy school uniform, books, and stationery and school bags. So I took the proceeds from my New York. I told them that I'm going to donate to these 3 Tamil schools. Whatever amount they give me, I will give it to these 3 schools. So they gave me whatever amount US dollars. I took and went to these 3 Tamil schools and shared with them what they needed to buy from for their children. And then one headmistress from this school, she said, Francis, I've read your book and the book is just amazing. I want to translate it into Tamil and share it with all the 77 students from the school. I want to help them not to have fear, but to trust the being that's inside them. So then I went to do a mock check presentation. I did not give the schools cash. I only bought the things that the schools needed and sent to them. Okay. And one of the things that helped me along the way is this program that I created 20 years ago. It's called the MindWorks. How to really take control of your mind and use it to visualize and see the end result, and then remove whatever stress that's coming up for you. So I use the tools from this program to help me in my walk. And the last thing is just how to purchase. Yeah. That's my talk. Thank you for listening.
Very, very, very inspiring, Dr. Francis. It's
Yeah.
wonderful journey.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. I think it was amazing to hear your story and just a realization. I don't know if everybody felt that, but how it was a path that none of you discovered throughout, and how you derived something so positive and so amazing out of it. So thank you so much. We have 15 more minutes. Please come off camera, on mute, unmute yourself and please ask your questions.
We'll take a group photo, right? Later.
Yes, we can do that.
Nice to see their face.
Yeah, okay, doctor, I have a question. How do you connect to your inner coach?
How do I connect my inner coach?
How do I call my inner coach, or how do I reach my inner coach?
Excellent question. So for me, I think everybody's journey will be different, how they connect, okay? So for me, what happened was 1 month before that, every morning when I get up, I hear this inspiration, this instinct, you call it instinct, inspiration, a voice, like, you know, it's in your mind, this voice, and it's the same message. And the voice was telling me, because I'm a Catholic, go to church. So I said, no, I'm not going to church. I just go to church once a week. It's enough. No, you go to church every morning. So every morning I'll be waken up at 5 or 5:30 and I have to drive to church. So it became like a habit for me every day. 1 month, one whole month, I've been woken up to go. And because I'm sitting in church, some transformation is happening to me. I can't see it. I just can feel it, that I am getting closer and closer and building a relationship with my God. So this, for me, is like my inner coach. The voice, I can hear the voice telling me, giving me instructions clearly. So it's building a relationship. So if there are two people and they are very close, like friends, very close friends, even without saying a word, just by looking at your friend's face, you will get what's the message, what's the nuances. You will pick up messages. That means they'll look at you and they'll just like move their eyebrow and you will know what the message is. Those are nuances. So I picked up nuances within my body. What is happening? What is this? Suddenly it will be like, okay, why don't you do your art project? I'm like, I'm not going to show my art to anybody. It's my personal collection and I don't want to hear any critique from anybody. Do your art project. Do the exhibition. So if the voice becomes so clear, so for me, it's that relationship, building that relationship. How do you build it closer? Different people will build it different ways. For me, it was a simple way of going to church every morning at 5:30 and staying for the mass, and then the transformation happened. Okay, so don't ask me to fill in between the lines, because I really don't know. It's just a transformation from within, that I can hear the voice, I can feel the power within me. And of course, in the Bible, there is a verse: I'm not going to come in the storm, I'm not going to come in the fire. You have to hear my voice in a whisper. It's in a whisper. So I have to listen for the whisper. So when the whisper comes, I pick it up. Of course, not everything I'm like, oh, I have to do this. Yes, 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 I'm going to go. It's always like my human nature will tell me, oh, please don't ask me to do that. It's too difficult. It's too difficult. It's like the walk. Please don't ask me to do that. I'm not a hiker. I'm not a hiker. Please don't ask me to do that. So of course the resistance will be there, but eventually you will get comfort that you can do it. You will get comfort that your inner coach is with you, partnering with you and walking with you along the way. So you're not alone. That's why the title of my book is I'll Never Walk Alone. I'm always with my inner coach or my inner mentor. I hope I've answered your question.
Chandraketu, you're on mute.
That's realized. Yeah, kind of. The thing is, so if you desire something very strongly, apparently, and you want to get out of your, something inside you tells you to get out of your comfort zone. So maybe that something inside is your inner coach.
Yes.
So your inner voice, your conscience, call it whatever you might be.
Yeah, so you can call it conscience, you can call it instinct, you can call it inspiration, but it's always to get out of your comfort zone. If it's in your comfort zone, then you're just doing whatever you're supposed to do. Then you don't need an inner coach, you just do the run of the mill. It's always to move out of your comfort zone, the inner coach comes, because you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. You need to partner with it.
Yeah, I understand. So, I mean, it is that particular voice inside you which always, which gives you an answer whenever you are in a dilemma.
You got it.
So,
Spot on.
thank you. Yeah, very, I mean, very courageous of you, and we appreciate it a lot. Very courageous.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wants to come off mute and have any questions?
Dr. Francis, this is Sunita here.
Yes, Sunita.
Couple of things were before that very inspiring. I could almost feel your journey as you painted it. So very inspiring.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, out of the 3 fears roughly which you spoke about, loneliness, fear of the unknown, which was the biggest fear which you felt you conquered?
Fear of shame. Fear of not knowing. How can I not know? I have a PhD, I'm a master certified coach, I've got 14 years of coaching experience, I worked in so many places, and then I do not know. I do not know. I can't even find that blinking first starting point. How shameful it was. The fear of shame really ate me up.
Wow.
It was really horrible, okay? I wanted the earth to have one big hole where I can just fall in and not come out. That kind of pain I was going through, because nobody to ask. There's no human being to ask.
So when when you shared your first day encounter, I actually lived those emotions, that anger, that sheer frustration. So I wanted to ask you, in that stage, how are you dealing with it, and what is your inner voice telling you? Your mentor, coach, whatever you called it.
Yes. My inner coach, my inner,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the bottom of your utmost resource energy,
yeah.
what
So
is the dialogue?
Yes. So at that point, I said, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I just cannot do this. This is just too much for me to bear. Yeah. I need help. So it was like a checkmate. It was like a checkmate. I was cornered because I didn't know where else to go. I cannot go back because my ticket is from Santiago. I am still in Lugo. The ticket date is already booked. I cannot move. It was checkmate. I cannot move right. I cannot move left. Cannot move forward, cannot move back. I was checkmated at that point. So I just pleaded. I said, I cannot do this. I need help. The minute I said I need help, I felt comfort. Like an energy came into me and comforting me like a child. I was like a child crying out. At that moment, I felt comforted, like arms just holding me and say, just stay comfort. And immediately I heard the sound of tuck, 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 tuck. Somebody, I don't know from where the sound is. There was no beggar when I was standing there. It just, somebody just appeared with that sound of the clinging, the coins clinging into the book.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing those, Doctor.
But it was painful. So even you say beautiful now, I'm like, my heart. Thank you for asking.
Doctor,
Thank
we
you for
have
being here.
Alessandro who has raised their hand.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Dr. Francis, nice. Your story is very inspiring, and you explain it's really authentic. It's nice to hear your story. Thank you so much. Because I'm interested in your inner voice. You call a coach or mentor. At the
Yeah.
same times, you have inner voice too when you have fear, because you say to yourself something that generate that fear. So how do you recognize that voice as not in the saboteur, for example, or some
Yeah.
voice that creates you bad feeling and stop you? How you can recognize, because the saboteur is very clever. And so how do you deal with these voices?
Yeah. So for me, there is a very simple way I distinguish. Okay. For me, the good inner coach, inner mentor for me is someone, the voice that's telling me to break out of my comfort zone. So I need to do something like an adventure, like that's what Joseph Campbell calls. It is an adventure where you need to step out. Why? Because there's something you need to learn. There's some new skills you need to get. And you have to bring that gift back to the community. So it is for a purpose that you're doing the adventure. It's just not for, like the school children, hundreds of school children, as you go closer and closer to Santiago, hundreds of school children, you just see them walking through the path. It's just for fun. But for me, it wasn't. It was for a purpose. I needed to learn lessons and then take those lessons, put it into a book. I didn't know I had to write the book. But those were already like planned. Write it in the book and bring that lessons as a gift to the community. And that's what I'm doing today, even sharing with you all, bringing it back. So that for me is the inner coach, inner mentor, inner voice that's guiding me to move to a higher level. The sabotager or the hijacker is the voice that keeps me back into my comfort zone. Don't go out. Don't do this new thing. There is fear. You do not know what will happen. So it will hold you back in safety because in their mind, that is safe. if you go out, you are going to face a lot of challenges. That's not safe. You're going to. So for me, I distinguish it very, very simply as this. So I know very, very clear, is this a sabotager or is this a helper, an advocate, a supporter? I hope my answer is.
Thank you. Yes, your purpose is so clear that you can recognize. Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I think we have already come to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much to everybody for your time. I was just reading the comment section and everybody is just saying how inspiring and how amazing the story is. And a lot of people have also asked where they can buy the book. So I think it's on Amazon. Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I will. What do I do?
You can send me the link. I'll share with them later.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, I have also put in the link for your CCU certificates. Please don't forget to apply. As the slot is open only till today, I cannot share the link with you again tomorrow. So please make sure you fill the form and get your certificates.